Welcome back to episode 2 of the yearling inspection process. We wanted to touch on mental attributes of yearlings. This will be, as we said, there's so much, because as soon as we finished that other video, we're like, well, we didn't talk about this, and we didn't talk about that, and we didn't talk about this. So we're going to talk about mental attributes of yearlings and what you need to look for at these sales when it comes to the mental aspect of these athletes as well. So Dominique, let's lead off in terms of what you look at in mental, and then I will get into mental as well.
Mike is a bit better at this because he usually has more time since he's doing the second looks to really evaluate the mental aspect. Because I'm going through, again, I'm seeing everything, I'm looking at the physical. I go back later and focus on class, mental aspects. But the biggest thing is, and this is important to know when you are going to the consignor is there to sell a horse, but most of them are very good people, solid individuals. They want you to come back and be repeat customers. So while they don't always offer information to you, if you directly ask them the correct questions, they will answer. So the biggest thing, I go in and ask any bad habits, stall walkers, cribbers, ridgelings, but any vices that I need to know about. Because vices, especially at an early age in a horse, can indicate stress, that they mentally can't handle the prep of yearling prep. So if they can't even handle that, how are they going to hold up to be a racehorse? So a stall walker is a horse that is constantly either pacing in their stall, walking in circles, or they can kind of stand there and sway. These are all habits that are not great attributes, just because it can be a sign of stress that they can't cope with. Cribbing is when a horse chooses to either crib on a fence or the stall door or buckets, and they basically are, it's just this, I don't even know how to make the movement or the motion. They're like kind of they're sucking in air as they crib. So you'll see some horses wearing cribbing collars. Michael knew that New York Thunder was a cribber, and I didn't realize it, honestly, until he walked into the ring and they announced it, and I almost had a heart attack because I get a little bit nervous with those vices. So hasn't been a problem for him. It is not always a problem for all horses, but it definitely does can affect them. The other thing when you have a horse out and about walking around is to watch their ears, watch their eyes. Are they suddenly, getting really nervous because somebody is, walking by them? Is a dog walking by and suddenly they're panicking? So also when they go into the back ring, how are they handling it? So definitely is a lot of things to take into account, but Mike can give some more information on what he sees.
So Dominique touched on so much, and a lot of it's great. What we need to realize with these horses, when they become race horses, we're asking them to be able to handle a lot in a racing environment. There's a ton of stimuli at the racetrack. And so when we're looking at horses in a sale, I need to understand and look at that individual and see, look, once we ramp up the stimuli, because a lot of these horses will be at the farms, they're in fields, they're in paddocks, they're getting yearling prep on a walker, they might swim, but still they're out in the field with their buddies. So it's a pretty relaxed environment. Once we get them to the track, they're separated, they're in their own stalls, they have a training regimen, they see a lot of race horses, other horses on the racetrack, traffic coming at them with joggers on the outside of the track, horses galloping, and then horses breezing up the fence. Depending on the racetrack, stocking capacity of that racetrack, there could be, like Santa Anita is one of the most stimuli laden environments I've ever seen at a racetrack. There's so much going on all the time and a ton of horses. So you need to have a pretty mentally strong horse to be able to handle California racing. Saratoga is the same. You take babies up, and why, like with 2-year-olds, what I used to do when I trained was I'd bring the babies in from the farm into Aqueduct. Obviously, the farm's a quiet environment. Again, when they're 2-year-olds, they're at the farm. It's pretty quiet. There's not a ton of horse on the racetrack. And then you bring them into a place like Aqueduct, and there's a little bit more, and they get used to that. Then they can step up and handle Saratoga with the
golf carts,
with the craziness of golf carts, and all of you wonderful individuals out there storming the gate at 8 a.m. with your tarps and coolers, not thinking about those of us in the paddock trying to school horses for the races. I have absolutely loved one day when I almost got flipped on my pony because somebody decided to open an umbrella on the outside rail when I was jogging the wrong way on him. Jesus Christ. But anyways, they handle a ton at the racetrack. So we need to look for mental flaws in these horses when they're yearlings. And as we ask them to do more, does this intensify their neuroses that they have? You know, to me, I look at it as neuroses, and it's mental strength or not mental strength, right? Cribbing to me is something that is a sign of a horse that has nervous issues. Stall walking for sure. Like if you have a yearling that's stall walking, good luck, because he's going to keep stall walking the rest of his racing career. Dominique talked about going back and forth in front. Those are horses that weave. That's another neuroses of horses trying to alleviate stress in an environment. When you start getting the stall walking and weaving, when you're a trainer at a racetrack, there's only so much you can do. You know, jolly balls, put a mirror in the stall so they can see themselves, cut windows in the stall so they can see their buddies around them. Tires, some people do tires, but it's literally just trying to avoid the horse doing it. He's still going to be nervous and figure out something to do. But you're trying to make sure that, you know, as we look at any great athlete is mentally tough. Any great athlete. You cannot point to a single athlete, you know, Jokic in the NBA Finals, he doesn't get the ball and then stress before he shoots it. He just shoots the ball. So it's the exact same thing with horses. They need to be able to have that mental strength to carry forward.
And we do realize that they're babies. Like, they are babies. This is all new. We are taking that into account. But it's just kind of looking at when you have 200 horses, well, the one that's stressing out, that's going to be the one that stands out. So we're not saying they have to act perfect. You know, we're accounting for the fact they're babies, they're immature. But it's just seeing the ones that are so stressed out, they really stand out compared to the overall group.
Well, and Dominique said it, right? So I like it. I actually like it when I see a yearling come out and something startles them and they jump 5 feet. But then they'll look at it and they'll rationalize it and they'll go on about their business and walk past it. To me, that's a very good sign in a horse. They can take in their environment and still be confident enough to continue on with their job. So it's what she pointed out of the ones who get there and they've seen the same blue chair 10 times and they freak out every time they go past it. That's an issue because they're not learning and their fear is preventing them from learning to move forward. So when I talk about mental strength, it's literally of, yes, do I expect when a yearling to walk into the back ring, they're going to freak out? Absolutely. It is an extremely stressful environment. But you'll see some of the good horses walk in, they'll stress out first couple rounds, they'll come down, they'll relax, they'll take it in. And every time they move into a new environment, they'll get a little bit worked up and then their energy level will drop back down as they accept it and keep moving forward. What we're talking about is horse walks in the back ring, freaks out, panics, never settles, gets nervous, washes out head to toe in sweat, and never relaxes through any stage of the process. So that's a big piece for us is, you know, I want a horse to be able to, yeah, it's okay to be nervous, but take it in, accept it, and move forward and learn. And that's what all these horses have to do every step of the way. There's a lot of variables in a race with a racehorse. You know, a horse that's never had dirt in the face gets kicked in dirt in the face for the first time. Usually you'll see their head come back. They get hit 2-3 times and their head drops forward and then they keep going. So you want horses that show they have the capacity to learn, accept their environment, and continue to do their job. So that's what I look for. When we talk about New York Thunder being a cribber, that horse walked out of the stall, had all the confidence in the world, went about his business, did everything else fine. He was a cribber, so I said, well, you know what? If he just cribs on a bucket or cribs in the stall, it is what it is. He does everything else perfectly fine. No nervous habits or issues were seen, and it's worked out for him. But sometimes you'll see a horse that's a cribber, and they come out, and then they can't stop, just kind of, you know, I'm sure we've all seen people who just can't stop fidgeting and stuff like that when they're nervous in an environment. The same thing you'll see with yearlings, same thing you'll see with racehorses. Those are all things that typically carry forward. So it's, do you have nervous habits and can you accept them, move forward and learn? That's what we're mainly looking for. So I hope that helps. Is there anything else you want to add or are we good?
We're good.
We're good. There you go. Awesome. So anyways, that's mental aspect. And then we'll get more into the physical of, sprinter types, early 2-year-olds, late coming horses, grass, dirt, pin hooks. There's a ton once you really get into the weeds of what good horses look like, to then look for different things to fit different plans for what you want for your racing operation. So thank you again for watching.